Let's see. I think it's more likely that he would, because I imagine a pirate crew is having a fairly communal vibe here. So, let's do it. Let's do a D4. Here we are. 4. Okay, yeah. So he tells the crew about this, and then I guess the question is, does he want to do anything about it? Oh, I guess yeah. Actually, let's. I'll do a secondary rule. That's a good point. That maybe he doesn't confide in everyone, but for some reason confides in her. Um, does he confide in everyone or specific members? So it could be everyone. I should have done it as one randomizer, but I missed it. So we'll just continue launching off of that. Does he confide in everyone or specific members? Everyone could be just Luthera. And I think it would be odd if he confided in just, or maybe. We'll leave it on there. Could be Luthera and some key crew members. Could be just some key crew. Oops. Let's not jump around here. Suddenly Luthera has some high aspirations. Here, we're gonna actually just move this across over there. Give me a second, guys. I'll fix the zoom in a minute. Try to keep my page of roll tables somewhat manageable. And then I'll reposition. Oh, thanks, Chicken with Rabies. Awesome. All right, everyone, just Luthera and some key crew. Just some key crew. I don't think it will. If, only one way to find out. Yeah, no, looks good. I wonder if can I view this on, let me just see if I can also see that on my dashboard. Phew. Yeah, awesome. Cool, I can even see that there. Good stuff. Thanks, Chicken with Rabies. That was quite a crazy moment, for sure. All right. Let's see here. I mean, word's gonna spread either way, so we'll put everyone just to save some time there, as more likely. And then I think this one's not unlikely. I feel like Luthera is a bit of an important member of the crew, even if she's not high ranking or something. She's demonstrated her prowess, right? So let's roll that. 6. Yep. Okay. Does he want to do anything about it? About his claim in light of recent events? I've gotten banned from people not whitelisting clips. Huh. Is that something that I need to do, you think? Or maybe it's just a setting that they don't have set up. Yeah, I don't see anything on my end that would be flagging it or anything like that, so it looks good. All right. Does he want to do anything about his claim in light of recent events? Yes. No, but is persuaded by the crew. And then just straight up is adamant that's not his way. Because even if he doesn't do anything about it, even if this doesn't become some sort of like war story or claim, claim story. Oh, that's another option. Someone eventually. Actually, I think it's kind of cool if that happens later. I think it would be very coincidental if Like within the year or so of this event happening, someone manages to track him down. I think what would be cool is if he's adamant that he doesn't want to do something about this, it could be that his lineage, obviously the lineage will obviously continue, and also maybe after a few more of these pirate raids, then something bigger comes of it. So this is going to just become part of the backstory, which will get pulled on eventually in one way or another. But then there's also some options here where something happens with it right away. So let's take a look at that. Maybe just someone knows someone else. Okay, that's a good option. Yeah, someone we can at least note. No, I think that should be a separate randomizer because that could mean you guys have a target on your backs. That could be a whole other episode of things going on. So, does he want to do anything about his claim in light of recent events? I mean, he's decided to live as a ship's captain instead of someone more important, but maybe he was not allowed to be anyone more important, and now he wants to. Now he's like, there's an opportunity here. I think the crew persuading him. I mean, he's a pirate captain. I think he's gonna stand by his guns one way or another. So let's do that. Make sure that's not obstructed, and we'll do a roll of 5. 3. All right. Well, we'll have to see then when this will come up again. So let me just check back here. So we'll say light of. I see. I think I'm wondering how much of this should be on Luthera's page, or whether this should be part of. Should we make a page for Captain Sterling by this point? We'll keep it here. If we need to eventually make a separate page, we'll make a separate page then. Just probably easier to. I mean, yeah, eventually we can make a page even just as a bio for him. But I'd like to have. I mean, with the Cult of Melium, we had almost all of the storyline in one spot. Hey, Jedi Luigi, nice username. Yeah, Jedi Luigi, we're doing. I'm an author who's written this kind of web series called Lives of Gethra, and to kind of continue that moving in this kind of interactive direction, we're starting a kind of like a world building history kind of stream where different users can take on the role of different characters. So right now we're kind of exploring what is going on with Chicken with Rabies character, whose name is Luthera. And yeah, if you want to know more information, check out my About panels. I got a frequently asked questions down there. I've got a link to this wiki where you guys can follow along. Yeah, it's kind of the goal is to make this vast world of Gethra in which everyone feels they've got a part of it. All right, so yeah, so we just learned that Captain Sterling confides in the crew. There is some opportunities, Jedi Luigi, if you want to take on a character. We've got lots of stuff going on in this storyline right now, so just let me know if you want to be making decisions for someone important. Captain Sterling confides in the crew that he is, in fact, an illegitimate... Wow, spelling. It's also, just so you know, Jedi Luigi, it is also nearly 4 a.m. here, so if you're wondering about my writing skills, keep that in mind. It didn't flag that, but I am not convinced that that is the correct spelling. Yes. Alright. Captain Sterling confides in the crew that he is, in fact, an illegitimate heir to Patriarch hi, Onfire. I do not have an artist yet. I'm hoping that as the stream picks up more traction, maybe we'll get some people who are interested in contributing and stuff like that. I'm happy to feature artists' work here on the stream and credit them. And maybe once we get bigger, there's a way that I can even have some tips going to them and stuff like that. But yeah. Yeah, I do have, I mean, I can show you guys quickly. I'll just open up my images here for you. I do have a friend who I've worked with before to do book covers and stuff like that. So there is some character art. It looks great from some of these characters. So there's another segment I have on my show where I'll actually do a podcast of the Lives of Gethra stories from my website, and we feature those then. So we have Dago we've been reading about, we have Vaynuth we've been reading about, and Erlem and Mirish so far. But yeah, they're pretty sweet images there. You can check those out by going to the wiki as well if you want to see a full resolution version. Yeah, yeah, go for it. Thanks for the follow. Esther Lauren. But yeah, if you're looking for those, have you considered using Pinterest boards to store and share concept art references? Yeah, maybe. It's tricky with Gethra because I've published it into books and stuff like this. There's a kind of like a copyright issue in with some stuff, so I have to be careful which things I directly associate with that way. But if what I could say is that if any of you guys want to put together, like, oh, this made me think of this, I can definitely like, comment on what I think about it as well. But yeah, I'll have to look into that eventually, probably. All right, Captain Sterling provides in the crew that he is in fact an illegitimate heir. Confides to the crew. Despite this, he has no wish to risk his life and livelihood in the current state of unrest. Yeah, no worries. It's something I've had to learn the ropes on a bit just to be on the safe side, I also went to school for creative writing back in the day, which is proving useful for some of this stuff. Not a super marketable degree. Oh yes, thanks, Babacus. Or sorry, Jedi Luigi confides to the crew. All right. So, before things get too unrailed here. Yes, sorry, that is correct. Chloride confides to Luthera and some of the key crew members. So I think then the ship departs Bogtown with a cargo hold of plunder. There we go. Yep. At some point, we're gonna have to randomize if Captain Sterling is interested in it or not. Because so far, I mean, it could be platonic. We don't know yet. She could just be a valuable member of the crew, but we'll see. Got characters in my story being shipped together already. Underwater basket weaving. Well, there you go. All right. Got a few more minutes. Maybe we'll figure out what happens with the crew of the Luthera, where they sail next, and then maybe we'll move on or wrap up after that. I'm getting a little tired here, so we need more basket weavers. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun once in a while to do these late night streams and just see if anyone who's not in my normal time zone is interested. But then I think half of you guys right now are in my time zone, so we're all just up at 4 a.m. All right. Life and livelihood in the current state of unrest. The ship departs Bogtown with a cargo hold full of plunder. Just can't sleep. Fair enough. I'm in Netherlands time. Ah. What time is it over there then? On fire. They sail to Pirate Outcove to deposit the loot. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see which pirate hold they set off for. Where does Sterling intend to sell their loot? Yep. Sell the slaves. Sell the treasure they took. 10 a.m. Ah, fair enough. Yeah. All right. Where does Sterling intend to sell their loot? We could say. Well, let's take a look at the map here, guys. I can tell you about some pirate ports. So Starath is not technically a pirate port, but it's an independent city that is essentially a massive place of industry, and so they kind of are cool with whatever as long as it's profitable. Um, there is just because it's a very historically driven setting. It's not high fantasy; it's low fantasy, so it feels a little bit more like um, like historical fantasy in some ways. However, I will comment as well, guys, just so you know, the slavery is not based on race. It is more often based on caste and class. Um, there is different people of different ethnicities living all over this map, and I have pages about the different ethnicities and how where they've come from historically, but it's just people living everywhere. And so most of the instances of slavery are yeah, it's a little bit low fantasy, yeah. But most of the cases of slavery are not ones that would be necessarily familiar to what we think of, particularly in the West with in North America and stuff like that. With our troubled history of it as well, and obviously slavery is a tragedy always. But it's something that I think is, I mean, low fantasy and historical, and I'm pulling in a lot of ideas from things that really happened. So I think it highlights some of the crimes of that. So is it human only fantasy? There are other species, but currently most of this land is inhabited by just humans. If we look up here, we have the Scale Lands and the Expanse. And in the Scale Lands and the Expanse, we have a race called the Slithers. They're called that because that's the name humans have come up with for them. Yeah, so the Slithers don't have voice boxes because they're like snake people, basically. And so since they don't have voice boxes, they communicate with hisses and clicks and stuff. And then, yeah, and Babacus created a character there. Yeah, yeah, no voice boxes for the snake people. Ah, such racism. No. Yeah, so the humans have named them Slithers. We don't know what they call themselves because it's just a bunch of hisses and clicks. So, who knows? And so they kind of roam the desert. They're nomadic. They can't live in the jungles because it's just too moist. They're not acclimated to that. So they've mostly stuck to the Expanse. But I'm also working on just got to get magic translator crystals. There you go. Oh yeah, yep. Unfortunately, that whatever they call themselves would be unpronounceable to humans. But yes, on the stream here, we're also working on the globe of Gethra. We're working on an entire global map. So there's going to be more races eventually as we learn that. As we kind of explore beyond these lands, what else is out there. There'll be more humans, and there will be more, other races too. So I'm looking forward to coming up with that stuff as well eventually. Okay. Yes, we're trying to figure out where will they go. So Starath is definitely a likely candidate. Kadar Port is like the pirate safe haven. And East Point is another place that's very kind of independent, and they're cool with whatever. Well, not whatever, but there's basically different kind of competing rulers, and so there's a lot of room for, you can get on someone's good side, even if you're on someone else's bad side. So, just no furries. Well, there is some monkey people. There's a race called the Primals right now in the jungles, but they've only barely mastered fire. They haven't mastered language and other societal requirements. I don't know that I would make a primal a point of like a character, a playable character, because the primals are just not. They're more akin to animals at this point than. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading the chat when I say that. No judgments here either. Okay, so we got a couple ideas here. So we've got Starath, good spot to sell. East Point, it's a little far, but maybe he has other business, or maybe he wants to put some distance between him and this whole connection. Yeah, Planet of the Apes. There you go. Yep. It could be. I mean, eventually. Oh, how many slither in that area? The answer: at least 50 points less than Gryffindor. Yep. Well, I mean, if you look at the scale lands, just based on the name alone, I'd say there's a lot of slither there. And if you want to talk about racism, no, I'm kidding. But in the scale lands, the tribes that roam there haven't encountered humans that much, and so the slither from the scale lands, they see humans and they just think, oh, here's another animal that I can hunt, and so the slithers there are known to kill humans and even feast on them because they're just status quo ecosystem for them. East Point, and we got Kadarport as another one. So I think this is the closest one. This one, maybe Captain Sterling wants to get further away. Distance from Sterling's connection. If he's in avoidance a bit of what's going on, and that one, we've got that. We do taste like bacon, don't blame him. Handfire, no, I don't know the lore to Guild Wars 1. Surprised there's not slithers who vibe in the freshwater lakes and in the jungle. Yeah, no. So far they've been stuck in the desert for the most part, and just they haven't acclimatized well. They have like a Stegosaurus. They have like a sail as a cooling feature, so their blood when it heats up will go into their sail and it'll kind of inflate a bit, and then all that blood will cool off, and then it can come back in and cycle around. So I think the humidity of the jungle. They're not an aquatic people at all, So yeah, so I think if they go into like an aquatic area or somewhere that's too humid, that whole system gets messed up, and they just overheat, and there's all sorts of other issues. So yeah, like sticking with the low fantasy setting, done a lot of research on some of these things. I'm not a scientist though, so I'm sure someone will come along eventually and say that's not correct. But well. All right, so let's roll our options here. Bam. 2. East Point. Oh, Captain Sterling. He doesn't want to face his destiny. Yeah, no worries, Jedi Luigi. Yeah, and maybe eventually we will have some sort of merfolk in the future. Alright, so next step of the process is the Ghost sails for East Point. Far across the Grey Sea. To put distance between Sterling. Top fish, bottom legs. Between Sterling and his... well, I think there might be some actual danger for him. I mean, if someone else is killing off this family, and he's related to them, so there you go. That's exactly what I was thinking, chicken with rabies. Interesting. Alright, the Ghost sails for East Point, far across the Grey Sea, to put distance between Sterling and the danger of the new king. It's interesting that Captain Sterling would have gone to raid Bogtown in the first place, knowing this connection. It must have just been too good a prize in light of, different harbors just being abandoned by ships as the ships went to join in the attacks. All right. By the end of would be I think 736 by now. By the end of 736, they had sold a small fortune worth of loot. Yeah, yeah. Gave him nothing and then died before he could. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna have to wrap up soon. Oh, thanks, On Fire. I always hate to do that when I've got lots of people chatting and going on, but it's just getting a little too late for me. Honfire, Jedi Luigi, if you guys want to come back, that'd be awesome. We can take a look at getting you guys characters. Yeah, it'll be kind of cool. This sounds like a guy who gets fantasy cop inquisitor knight to hunt him. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, if you guys want to show up next time, I'm sure there will be some character roles that you guys could take on. We will need to know what these warring factions are up to, so maybe they're leaders. We need to know what's going on in East Point once we get there. So lots of room for involvement as we go forward. Let me switch over here for an outro. Yeah, awesome. But it's been good chatting with you guys, and take her easy, whichever time zone you're in. And yeah, night, guys.